It's been like 2 weeks since we originally recorded this video, and there have been so many things that have changed, have gone wrong, that are not normal about just trying to get the Core 2 Duo working with the 1080 Ti again, doing a follow-up video. Like, everything's kind of working now, but like the idea behind the video has completely changed. So after watching what Rikus had put together, I realized that this video was basically the slow de-evolution of me into a madman trying to get this system to work in a way that actually makes sense and in a way that we thought was a worthy follow-up. So this is not the video we wanted to put out. This is just going to be a video of everything that I've gone through to get us to the next stage of the video, and there will be another update that is coming out at some point. So just watch this video because I'm done. I'm so done with this. Watch what everything go wrong. This motherboard has been the bane of my existence. So, okay, everybody seemed to like the Core 2 Duo 1080 Ti build, but there were a few complaints that everybody had. First off, some people asked me to overclock this. I can't. It's not happening. The board doesn't do it, and I don't really want to buy an LGA 775 board because they're also like really difficult to get here. There was the suggestion that I do the BSEL mod, which involves putting a piece of tape right there on that pin, but the reason that won't work is because the front side bus of this Core 2 Duo E6750 is already at 1,333 megahertz. The BSEL mod is supposed to bring a 1066 megahertz front side bus up to 1333. So that's not gonna work for this chip, but we need to find ways to potentially make this better. Biggest complaint was the 4 gigabytes of RAM and the way it was set up. The reason we did that was because that's how the system came. Like, I wanted to change nothing. So we're gonna discard all of that RAM. We don't need that anymore. DDR2 RAM was actually pretty easy to get our hands on, so we have 4 2 gigabyte DIMMs for a total of 8 gigabytes on the E6750. So different 1080 Ti, 8 gigabytes of RAM, and then one of the other suggestions, Windows 10. Why are you using it? Well, the original point of the first video was to showcase how badly the system operates in a normal user environment. However, that's probably not giving the Core 2 Duo its best chance possible. So instead, we're gonna be loading Windows 7 onto it to hopefully give more resources to the system instead of, eating it all up with just like operating. So updating the RAM will give us more leeway in video games. The 1080 Ti change shouldn't affect anything. It's roughly gonna be the same, maybe 1 to 2 FPS off either direction. And then Windows 7 should hopefully allow us to have more resources dedicated from the CPU to the system. The last issue that I wanted to address that people called me out for in the previous video was stating that, no, the CPU doesn't bottleneck the internet. You're lying. That never happened. And it did. It did, because when the CPU is at 100% load, like it was when we were trying to install games, the gigabit Ethernet controller can't get enough signal through, and that's why we were limited on speed. When we had the system at idle and we tried to download things, we were hitting speeds of 150 to 160 megabits per second. It's not a problem when all you're doing with the system is using it for downloading. But if you're trying to actually use the system and download stuff, that's when you run into a major issue. So we're gonna get all this set up. We're gonna build a brand new system, roughly. We'll just have Windows 7 and a new 1080 Ti, and then we'll benchmark it again to see how well does it do when you double the RAM, when you have a proper dual channel configuration, and then when you also are running Windows 7 instead. I have been pulling my hair trying to get the system to work. The only thing I can think is that the board, CPU, something is dead somehow, somewhere, I don't know. So like I've tried everything. You're gonna leave a suggestion in the comments. I tried it, I guarantee it. I'm not gonna detail everything I've gone through, but basically what happens is this thing starts up and then it never, ever, ever displays anything. I tried 1,000 different graphics cards, and by 1,000 I mean like 10. I tried everything we could with the system, different RAM configurations, reseating the CPU, not working. So we made a plan. We went ahead and we picked up a new board and a new CPU to kind of continue with the testing. So this is an LGA 775 board. It only has 2 sticks for RAM. I'm actually hoping it's not the motherboard that's dead and somehow it's the Core 2 Duo, because unfortunately, all they had at the store was a Pentium, but from the LGA 775 days, the Pentiums also have 2 cores. So these are both dual cores. The only issue with the Pentium is that it has 2 megs of cache as opposed to this one 6 megs of cache. But the thing that we can definitely try with this one is that tape mod that I was talking about earlier, where hopefully we can get the front side bus overclocked without having an overclocking board. This is an experiment I wasn't expecting to go on. I really just wanted to add RAM to the Core 2 Duo and see how it runs on Windows 7. And even getting Windows 7 to boot has been a nightmare thus far. I'm actually not even sure that we can go ahead with that plan. We might have to do 8 gigs of RAM on Windows 10. I'll figure that out and I will get back to you. But right now, the plan is I'm gonna put this Pentium on this board and we're gonna see if it works. If it doesn't, we have to switch to this new motherboard. And several sleuth observers of you will notice that yes, this obviously didn't turn on because I didn't have the HDMI cable plugged in. It doesn't matter. Like, I plugged it in, it's still not working. All right, we did the testing that we needed to. It appears that this motherboard is bricked. We tried the Pentium on here, it didn't work. As soon as we put the Core 2 Duo on the new motherboard, perfectly fine. Everything is going well with it. I think the Pentium's in there now, so don't regard anything that's currently on the screen. So Core 2 Duo works perfectly fine. This does change the concept of the video a little bit because we were gonna try with 8 gigs of RAM since we had 4 DIMM slots. This LGA 775 board that we picked up only has 2, so we could still only have a max of 4 gigabytes of RAM. However, this actually is an overclocking motherboard, which we did not have on this previous thing. The only way we could have overclocked the chip was with the tape method, and because it already has a really fast front side bus, that was never gonna happen with the Core 2 Duo. So we're gonna actually up the clock speed on the Core 2 Duo to see how fast we can get it. We can also even overclock the RAM because in the previous test, it was at 667 megahertz. This RAM is also rated for 667, but like with just some brief testing, we have it up to over 1,000 megahertz, and this Pentium's at 3 gigahertz, even though it's only rated for 2.5. So there's a lot of testing that we can do. I think we're gonna stick with the Core 2 Duo for this video so that we can compare the past video to this one. We will have only 2 sticks of RAM, so it'll be definitely dual channel this time. We're gonna increase the RAM speed, we're gonna increase the CPU speed, and we're gonna run everything again with the 1080 Ti, and we're gonna see what kind of performance boost we're gonna get by just changing those things up. And if you all want us to do a Pentium chip follow-up, which basically the Pentium and the Core 2 Duo, they're the exact same thing, just the Pentium has less cache. If you want us to do that in another video, let us know down in the comments. Like, we want to do what you guys want to see. This has been a fun, wild experiment, but this motherboard has been the bane of my existence. So I put way too many hours into that thing. I'm not happy. We have a motherboard that works now. That was a one shot. It's not dead because I did that to it before, I promise. I treat my hardware well, thank you. So yes, my friends, this video is completely different than what exactly we had anticipated it was going to be. We do have a functional system now, we do have an overclockable system, and we are thinking ahead to a further follow-up where we actually ended up picking up a Core 2 Quad as well to put into this system. But yeah, testing this legacy hardware, not exactly as fun and enthralling as we thought it was going to be. Basically just a ton of issues and errors popping up all of the time. We now have way more DDR2 RAM than I ever thought we were gonna have. We have way more LGA 775 boards than I thought we were gonna have. We're gonna keep looking out to see if we can find a board that can support 4 DIMMs and then can also overclock. The difficulty is being here in South Africa and not necessarily having access to as much abundant hardware as you would, let's say, in the US. So that's our current challenge. We do have a functional system ready. We do have future videos set up for this as well. So keep an eye out for an update to the Core 2 Duo plus 1080 Ti video. It is coming. We have been working on it. As you saw, there's just complication after complication after complication. So now we have a video that we didn't intend to make, but we're gonna try to make it as fun as possible. And hopefully you guys enjoy this, like, I guess, introspection into the things that go on behind the scenes when we try to make a video, because I tried. And like, otherwise, like, it's either we release this video about like me kind of describing everything that went wrong, or we didn't release one at all and then we released the final product. I don't know if you guys prefer this. I think it's good enough to put out as like a, hey, we struggle with a lot of things around here. So let me know what you guys think of this type of video down below in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button while you're down there to show support for us, because it lets the YouTube algorithm know, hey, we like these people. Also, commenting does that as well, and getting subscribed if you want to do that. I'm Brett with the UFD Tech channel. I'll see your smiling faces in the next video. Love you too.